Welcome back to another episode of All Things Everything presented by Gulf Coast Smoke. My name is Alonzo.
And I'm Sabrina.
And how has your week been?
It's been a good week.
Oh, wait, and this is episode 53.
Yeah, 53.
Right?
I believe so.
Yeah, 53. But how's your week been? I just wanted to get right into it.
Yeah, gosh, what have we done this week?
Everything?
I know Monday was a busy day.
Well, first off, hold on real quick. I'm going to interrupt real quick. So anybody that watched the last podcast, you guys know that Sabrina was super blurry.
Yeah.
We apologize about that. But with Sabrina and I both being behind the cameras and us actually not having anybody looking at the camera from the back side, I was going to say the bottom side, the back side, sometimes it gets hard to see because, we can see screens from here. It looks focused to us, but sometimes it just doesn't. I don't know. It loses focus. Sometimes it'll focus on the microphone.
Yeah.
Or,
mic
something
stand,
else.
A water bottle.
Yeah,
right.
Or something else in the actual shot. So we do apologize for Sabrina being super blurry last week. We actually almost considered not posting it, but I told her, I was like, well, it's a podcast and there's not anything crazy going on with the video. So, and then, of course, most of the time I'm talking and won't shut up anyway. So the amount of time that you're on camera is less than me for sure.
Yeah.
But, sorry about that, and we'll hopefully do better this episode and every single episode moving forward. We're thinking about getting some smaller external monitors or something so we can just take a closer look and make sure we're staying on top of everything. So one last time, sorry about that, but hopefully you guys still enjoyed that video. And, of course, how has your week been?
Well, so today is Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So for the people watching this or listening to this, it's already Friday. But so far for us, it's a short week. Pretty much filled with taking the kids to dance, taking them to the dentist, editing videos, just catching up on stuff and getting ready for the competition this weekend. So staying busy, nothing too exciting so far. Unfortunately, we are out of stock of Trifecta. So, those gears aren't turning as fast this week with it being out of stock, but we're trying to get it back in.
Yeah, and it's been so hard. With being a small business, we do believe we have 5 very amazing products, but one of them in particular, which is Trifecta, has really taken off recently, and you guys are making it really hard to keep it in stock. I can promise you this much. Every single time we place an order, we are placing an order bigger than before, and even already we're waiting on an order, and we've already placed another order for more Trifecta to try and just... We really don't like being out of stock. It's great that there's a demand for the product, but we want you guys to be able to purchase it. And it's one of those things where it's like, man, we really don't like it out of stock. For us, if you guys need it, if you guys are competing or creating videos or doing anything like that, man, we want to supply you guys with the good stuff, right? So that's big for us, and it's just been hard. But we do still have plenty of orders coming through. You guys still love Southern Hospitality, Southern Belle, that base, hospitality, and things have been really good. So we appreciate you guys still continuing to support our small business.
Oh, yeah, all of them are pretty low stock, honestly, because everything's just flying off the shelves, which is a good thing. So
it's a good thing. And the other thing that makes it really hard is, I think I might have said this before. Sometimes I forget what I say. A lot of the times I do. We just have such limited space here.
Exactly.
So we don't have a large warehouse where we can buy pallets and pallets of product. If we could, we would. We just literally cannot do that. We do not have the space for it. So we buy as much as we can to put in our office space. And although that is a lot of seasonings, it makes it hard to know. And then, sometimes someone will hit a GC and they'll post that they use Trifecta, or one of our videos will start popping a little bit and more people buy Trifecta. And then you never really can be ready for those things. You can't be ready for 50 orders of Trifecta and people are ordering 6 bottles at a time. Yeah. It's really hard to know that that's going to happen, but it will happen. So It's hard for us to kind of keep up. But again, we are trying, and it's just been really fun to run the business and learn as we go, and I think that's one of the funnest things about it. But you mentioned that it's so far it's been a short week for us, but we have filmed and we have posted. Right now we've only posted one of the 3 things that we filmed, and that was on Tuesday, and that was the country style rib video, which is, it's doing pretty well so far, and I thought that they were incredible. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, what did you think about the cook? What did you think about the video? And if people do watch it, which you guys can go watch it right now, what can they expect from that? And what were the key points you think maybe they could take away?
So first of all, let me say, let's define what a country style pork rib is.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not a rib on a bone. Well, they think they can be, right? So it's cut from the pork butt or the pork shoulder. And they're cut into, little strips. And sometimes if that pork butt still has the bone in, they could have, parts of the bone, much like a pork steak.
Yeah.
But most of the time when we get them, they're bone out.
Yeah.
Because it makes them quicker. I think the whole point of the country style rib is it's supposed to be quicker and easier than doing a rack of ribs.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, they're little cuts from the pork butt, pork shoulder, whatever you want to refer to it as. And yeah, just chunks, and they cook a lot faster than spare ribs or baby back ribs.
Yeah, no, most definitely. So, like Sabrina said, it's just pork butt cut into strips, so it's a lot smaller of a piece. But the cool thing about it is you have a lot of surface. So you have 4 sides on it, typically. You have 4 sides on it, so you can get some good seasoning all the way around. And they're probably about an inch or so thick. And, man, if you cook them perfectly, I promise you that bite is so tender and flavorful. It is insane. So some of the key things I think you can take away from that video is focus on the marbling that we had on those pork ribs. It was very, very good for pork in general. And I talk a little bit in the video about what marbling is. If you guys don't know what marbling is, it's literally the fat striations that's running through your protein. So in that pork, the pink or the light brown part of that protein, you'll see little fat striations, little strips of fat in there, and that is what I'm looking for. So we found some really good ones from our local grocery store, and man, they just turned out really, really good. And another thing that kind of makes me think about it while I'm talking is, our Instagram's kind of been popping a little bit, right? We had one video that kind of went crazy, and now we have a couple different ones that are kind of going a little more crazy, and we're gaining followers, and people are commenting. And one of the things that I got a comment today that said, man, this looks good, but this is just so basic. And, or like, this is way too basic or something like that. Now, they did preface it by saying, hey, this looks good. But the comment basically said, like, this is just such a easy and basic skill or recipe. And it kind of felt like, why would you even post this? It's so simple. Well, my argument to that is a lot of the times we have no idea who's watching our videos. For all we know, you listening behind the camera have never, ever grilled anything in your entire life. You've never smoked a brisket. You've never made barbecue chicken. And we are thinking about those things, right? If I wanted to be a little bit less informative, I'm not sure you guys would want to watch. Or we may not be able to draw in new viewers because, oh, well, this guy doesn't explain anything. It's crazy because sometimes when we go simple like that, and then we turn around on the next video and we forget to say what exactly was in the brine or how long we brined it. And then people are asking those questions. So for us, it's really important to continue to put out content that you can relate to, whether you're a seasoned vet or you're brand new to this thing. And I think that that's important to remember is a lot of the times you have to remember that not everybody's on the same skill level as you, whether that be that you're new or you're LC barbecue. Winning contests all over the place. Phil Breeden doesn't need to know what fat striations are. He doesn't need to know that. But maybe one of your cousins or one of my cousins might need to know that because they do not know. We put ourselves in a position where we're cooking all the time and we're learning all the time. And I think it's really, really, really important to remember that. So if the content ever feels too simple for you guys, remember that somebody else might be watching, that this is really, really new to them, and they need that confidence to get into it. The reason that we're doing this is quite literally to grow barbecue, right? We have this channel and we have this platform that we're trying to build so people can fall in love with barbecue and cook outside and have fun and, yes, hopefully try our products. But, man, if you don't have that confidence, you're not going to go out there and buy chicken or, man, even chicken's expensive these days. Everything is expensive. So why do you want to go burn something on the grill if you don't have that confidence?
Yeah, and on the flip side, I mean, we've put out things that seemed a little more complex or like trying to make things from scratch, and some people's attitude is like, I can just go buy that already made. You
Yeah.
know, so what we try to do is just make something that everybody can get information or inspiration from.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, also another thing to think about is, you know, I don't know if country style pork ribs is the same all across the South. You know,
Yeah.
it can mean different things to different people, right?
Sure.
So, but definitely here in Texas, what we like to do is those country style ribs a lot because you're right, they are cheap. And they're fast to make. So we only spent 2.5 hours making those in this
Yes.
video. We seasoned them with Southern Hospitality and Southern Belle. And one of the things you mentioned and pointed out was we did a little heavier of a layer of Southern Belle to get that savory saltiness and pepper. And then we did a lighter layer of Southern Hospitality because we really didn't want those sugars to burn too much because we knew they were going to cook a little bit faster.
Sure.
And then, of course, on the drum, it's a little more, we've talked about this before, a little bit more of a harsh environment. Did we have a water pan?
We did not have a
Yeah,
water pan
we did not
because it
have a
was
water pan.
raining.
That's right.
Yeah, and so again, and the thing with Sabrina and I, we talk about this all the time, you know, off camera, at the house. Our goal is not to please everybody. I understand that I am not everybody's cup of tea. You guys may just not like seeing me behind the grill, and you may not like our content. That is completely fine. There's basketball teams I don't like to watch. There's TV shows I do not like. I cannot be mad at you for not liking our videos. But my goal is to put videos out that at least everybody can understand and learn from. And that's huge for us.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is. And again, yes, the goal is obviously to put out content that multiple people will like, right? We want the majority of people to like the content over not liking it. But we completely understand that we are not going to be able to please everybody. And we know that, and we're fine with that. But just think about those things whenever maybe you're coming to conclusions in your head like, man, why is he talking about marbling in the pork, man? That's like the most simple thing ever. Well, maybe to Joe Blow it's not. And we are trying to get Joe Blow to love barbecue as much as we do. And we want Joe Blow to go out and buy a grill or a smoker. Man, I want Joe Blow to fall in love with it to where he goes and buys that Outlaw as well.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and the reason I think that marbling matters, especially in that cut of meat, is because, think about a rack of ribs. Most racks of ribs have decent marbling throughout or evenly. When you have that pork shoulder and you cut that up, there's so many different muscles that are all, in that pork shoulder, right? So some pieces that you cut might be a little more lean.
Yeah.
Some might be a little bit more fatty. The good thing about those country style ribs, though, as opposed to a baby back or a spare, is that they do have some of that fat cap or some of those larger pieces of fat. Yeah. When you cook that properly, it is very melt in your mouth. So to me, those country style ribs are almost more like a pork belly burnt end
For sure.
type of feel in your mouth than like an actual rib. And man, those were so tender. I mean, it's just the definition of melt in your mouth right there.
Yeah, and it's crazy and it's funny. So me and Timmy, we were eating them today at work. We still that's the thing. We'll talk about what else we cooked over the weekend, but we had the country style ribs, we had some chicken, and we had some other stuff, sausage and everything that we had made over the weekend. And I'm like, man, Timmy, I need you to help me eat this, brother. So we're eating, and he's like, dude, like, these are fire, bro. Like, what did you do to these? These are incredible. And he's like, dude, this is like melt in your mouth, super tender. And I was telling him, I was like, dude, I wish you could have eaten them off that grill, because I'm telling you, recently, for sure, I feel like every cook that we've had, even on the channel, man, it's been a strong one, and it's been a really, really good one. And that bite of pork that I got that day on that first bite was truly, you can even ask Sabrina, like, afterwards, I'm like, dude, that was as good as I hopefully made it seem like on the video, because, dude, it just like, it had everything. It had the savoriness from Belle. It had that black pepper that I talk about so much that I really, truly think is so good with barbecue. It had that sweetness. And then if you watch the video, you'll see how we finished it. I don't want to talk about it too much here, but it's kind of something that I've been doing lately and showing you guys lately. Even in the backyard, you can use some of these pro tips, and if you're not watching, I'm doing the quotations. You can use some of these pro tips to level up your barbecue, and I promise you they do. it might seem like, man, that's too much. Man, that's not necessary. I promise you, if you take some of the tips that we've been using in our videos lately, your barbecue will taste better. I promise you. And that's because I really think that the natural flavors from the pork or the beef, they belong back on that product in the end. You're rendering all that fat out. You've got all that, those juices just coming out of that meat. Man, throw it back on top mixed with a tiny bit of sauce, and it just makes it so good. Or don't use sauce at all, but baste it back on there for sure.
Oh, I was breaking my country style ribs up. Yeah, and just like got a bowl of that au jus sauce mixture and just
dunking it.
Yeah, tore it all up in there and was eating it out of a bowl.
And again, it's one of those things where the like I said, the cooks that we've been having lately have been so good. These are recipes you need to try, and they're also recipes that you need to make your own. The reason that we put these videos out there is so you guys can get ideas. It doesn't have to be exactly the way we do it. You don't have to use the seasonings we use, but man, get the ideas and go out there and make really good barbecue. And I guarantee you will if you try some of these tips and some of these tricks, and they're simple. And one of the biggest things for Sabrina and I this year, so I'm openly going to say it, we're probably not going to be competing in a lot of barbecue competitions anymore, probably ever. And that's okay. In 2023, we went pretty hard, and we had a lot of fun. But we feel like our whole persona, our whole career is kind of just changing, right? We feel like as much as we do love competition barbecue, our job and what we're supposed to do is be in the backyard making good recipes. That's just what we feel like that's what we're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. It's not to say that we don't love competition barbecue. No, we're going to a competition this weekend, right?
Yeah.
So I say that, and we're literally going to a competition this weekend, and I hope we win. I ain't going to sit here and lie. But our goal this year is to simplify barbecue as much as we can, even in competitions, nail texture, really, really push to you guys that texture is important and key. And we are quite literally going to go to every single barbecue competition with 2 sauces only, and we are going to make all of our own homemade glazes that we're trying to bottle right now. We're trying to simplify this to the max, and we're literally only using 2 barbecue sauces the whole year, and that's a decision that we made. We're changing our recipes pretty much all the way, and we're trying to simplify this, and we're trying to hopefully go out there and get some good calls, maybe a few wins if we can, and just show people that texture and technique is really important in this game. And we're not the best, guys. We've said that openly, and we do not think that. I do not think that at all. But I feel like we're on a mission, and I feel like we're supposed to be here to show these techniques and teach you guys how to cook a little bit better in the backyard. So that's just kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I mean, and you talked about our biggest takeaways from that video. Kind of like you're saying, it's to simplify barbecue, right? I mean, for us, we had some bad weather during this past weekend when we were filming, right? So for us, it's like, okay, well, we need to cook, we need to film. We only have a short window of time, right? And it was almost to a point where it's like, do we really want to do this? Can we get off?
Yeah,
can we get away with?
Raining, and
right.
We're afraid our equipment's gonna get messed up, and yeah,
it's like, can we get away with not filming and trying to do something Monday, but then the girls all have stuff Monday evening, so we just made a decision like, no, we're still gonna do this, but let's do country style pork ribs. That sounds like something good that we're gonna want to eat, and something that people want to see, right? And it's one of those things when you're done filming it, and it's such a short, easy cook, it's like, man, why are we overcomplicating this? Like thinking we need to make, for example, beef ribs for every video, briskets for every video, right? Yeah. You put something so simple like a country style pork rib that tastes just, I mean, I can't get over how good they were. When I was editing it and you're re-watching that footage, I always look back and think like, man, I wish I would have eaten more while I had the chance, right? Yeah. But you get so full. And so it's like, why overcomplicate it? Good barbecue does not have to be something that is smoked for long periods of time. You don't have to be out there all day long. Yeah. But just, lighting up any one of your pits that you have, whether it's charcoal, an offset, a drum, even a Weber kettle you could have done those on, pellet smoker. As long as you just get outside and cook something, it's so rewarding. When you go back inside and you go to eat and it tastes that good, I mean, it's just good barbecue does not have to be overcomplicated. Yeah. And I think that it kind of like you're saying, that's our takeaway right now, is just simplifying things, because unfortunately nowadays it's like, in order to put out good content, everybody's like, okay, well, how can I top this? How can I make this over the top? How can I make this controversial so people are going to want to see, right?
For sure.
But I think when it comes to barbecue, putting out very simplistic recipes that you can evolve on your own is important. And kind of like we've talked about, having that catalog of recipes is really good. So as long as you know the good technique on how to make a beef rib, how to make country style pork ribs, that's going to help you in your barbecue game. And then you can, elevate those flavors if you want to, right? But making it simple, I think, is key, especially because you're right. There's probably, even myself, there's a lot of people who don't barbecue every single weekend or multiple times a week.
Yeah.
Right? So these are things that they really do need to know.
Yeah, and all of this comes to fruition through literally our journey of Gulf Coast Smoke, right? It's kind of crazy because there was a moment where I thought that we needed to cook nothing but Wagyu briskets in order to gain a following and have people interested. But man, like Sabrina just said, if you think about it, if you truly think about it, people that are barbecuing are probably the people that, man, they barbecue once or twice a month, max. The normal people are not like Sabrina and I, where we're grilling or smoking something 5 days a week. It just doesn't happen. And even if you are somebody that's cooking all the time, you can still elevate your barbecue by using au jus that comes out of the natural pork renderings and the butter and the, apple soda or whatever you decide you're going to use. And that's the thing, right? Like, man, think about, so Mark Williams of Swine Life Barbecue actually told me one time, he's like, dude, when you're thinking about recipes in general, competition or backyard, think about your protein. What goes good with what proteins? For example, like if you're thinking about chicken, well, man, a lot of people, maybe they relate onions to chicken, right? This is just an example. Or with beef, onions, maybe some garlic, maybe some mushrooms, right? So maybe something with a little bit of an umami flavor, salt, pepper. Man, mix those things together and you can maybe figure out something really, really special. And there's absolutely going to be times when we go above and beyond and we try a crazy new recipe or we do something special. But we just, again, it's kind of funny how our Sabrina and I's minds, we're laser focused on making GCS as big as it can be. But our minds change, I don't want to say all the time, but like we pivot all the time because we do something and we realize like, oh snap, people like that. Or, oh man, they didn't like that. Okay, well, maybe we need to do this. Maybe let's try this style of video. Maybe let's do this. And really, we're still 5 years into this trying to find our true identity. We know who we are, but a lot of the times it's really hard to know what everybody wants to see, right? And that's the hardest thing, is putting content out that everybody wants to see. But again, I think that we're moving in the right direction. Every single day we're putting one foot in front of the other, and we're continuing to grow, and that's the biggest thing. So speaking of the recipe, we actually ended up using Killer Hogs vinegar sauce as the only sauce in that whole recipe. We mixed it with that natural au jus that came out of the pork, and like I said, there was some butter, there was some apple soda, and that's it, right?
Yeah, and when you mix that apple soda with that vinegar sauce, it's just a great combination.
It came
with
out
pork,
fire.
Yeah.
Came out fire. But I did want to take a quick minute to just talk to you guys about one of the partnerships that we're going to continue into 2025 and hopefully beyond. So we, a couple of years back, about halfway through the year in 2023, we actually signed on with How to Barbecue Right to be one of their ambassadors. We went through 2023, we went through 2024, and moving into 2025, we're sticking with them. So How to Barbecue Right and Killer Hogs is a brand that we have loved since we started this, and we feel extremely blessed to now be affiliated with them, and we are just over the moon about continuing that partnership. And so this year, we're really going to be implementing a lot of their stuff into our recipes, right? So it's going to be a GCS and How to Barbecue Right / Killer Hogs for everything, right? These are pretty much the products that we're going to be using exclusively, and we're excited to show you guys how we're going to use them in competitions. So like we talked about earlier, our barbecue sauces, we're going away from extremely complex stuff. Our rib sauce was like 5 sauces mixed together.
You know, our two different rib and pork sauces.
Yeah, our rib and just complex. It worked, right? I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. We did get plenty of first place ribs and porks, but we're going to use the Killer Hogs products in order to simplify barbecue with great flavor. I'm talking great flavor. Sabrina and I recently, over the past month or so, everything we've been making at the house has been like literally either only vinegar sauce or a 50-50 blend of vinegar sauce and the barbecue sauce, and it comes out incredible.
Yeah.
Every time. It's just such a balanced sauce. The barbecue sauce is such a balanced sauce. Vinegar sauce is obviously going to be more vinegary. It's going to have a little more bite to it, but when you put them together, man, they balance out so well. And so we're excited to use these products continuously all the way through the year. And like I said, hopefully for years to come. I've said this to friends. I'll say it here as well. The partnership with How to Barbecue Right, in my opinion, has changed our lives, right? And it really has, because one of the first videos that we ever did, you guys might not remember if you're a newer subscriber. One of the very first videos that we ever did, and we'll put a link in the description. It is a horrible video, by the way. Was a comparison video of How to Barbecue Right versus Swine Life Barbecue. And we, back in the day, used to do comparison videos on seasonings that were not ours. And we put those two together. And not very long after that, we got a follow on Instagram from How to Barbecue Right and Swine Life. And then I found out later that they were like, hey, that's the guy that put you guys against each other in a video.
Yeah.
And I think that sparked the follow on Instagram. Of course, we always followed How to Barbecue Right and Swine Life. We knew who they were before they knew who we were. But it sparked that, and then it grew into talking to them a few times, becoming an ambassador, and now, I mean, moving forward, it's just the partnership is stronger than ever. So we do feel extremely blessed, and we're grateful to Malcolm, Rochelle, and the whole How to Barbecue Right team. Special shout out to Tyler. He's like our ambassador representative, and I talk to him all the time. You know this. Like I probably bug Tyler more than I bug Sabrina when it comes to just like content and how I'm editing, because I'm editing the short form stuff right now, and Sabrina still does some of it too. But when I'm editing short form stuff, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of this intro? How should I start this out? Do you like this? Is this not what you want to see? Blah, blah, blah. And dude, he is so amazing about responding and saying, dude, that looks amazing. Or, hey, try this. So actually, one of the videos that we recently did, he actually suggested, hey, try this instead of this. And that video was done well. So again, it was our beef rib short. He's like, man, start it with you biting it, because that shot looked incredible. And so, yeah, I mean, Tyler's just, he's done so much for us. And, I mean, they really all have. Mark has been amazing. Rochelle and Malcolm, again, we're extremely excited to continue the partnership and absolutely blessed to be on Team How to Barbecue Right. And we're proud to use their seasonings alongside ours.
Yeah, and I think it's easy for anybody out there to be like, oh, well, you're affiliated with them, right? Like, of course you're going to
say that.
Say these things, right? But for all anybody knows, I could just be lying my butt off, right? But I'm the type of person where, like, I don't think you could pay me enough money to use a product that I didn't like.
Yeah.
Or, I don't support their business or, like, their just how they are as a company, right?
Yeah.
So for me specifically, I like sticking with products, like being loyal with products or businesses long term, even like getting my hair cut, right? Like I would rather wait until the person who cuts my hair has an appointment, even if I have to wait a year, than go find somebody new, right?
And that's like, she's not lying about that.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead.
So when it comes to using their products, it really will be a lifelong thing. No matter, even if we make sauces tomorrow, we're always going to support them and their products because we've really loved them since the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And when we first started doing this, I mean, as you've said many times, like vinegar sauce is one of your absolute favorite sauces.
Yeah.
Their hot sauce is amazing. It's one that we've used for a really long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even all of their seasonings. And so I don't think it's worth, there's so many good seasonings out there. And we do like to layer and like pair things up, right? So I'm okay with like using their seasonings and our seasonings, right?
Yeah.
I love using their sauces, and they have such a wide variety of products, right?
Oh, yeah.
You can't help but like want to use and love all of their products, right?
I got my sister on their chili seasoning.
Yeah.
Literally, because we did Frito because we did Frito pies out here in front of the shop in December.
Yeah.
And I was making chili like right there. And my sister was eating it and she's like, dude, this chili's really good. Like, how did you make it? And I told her straight up, like, man, you got to use Malcolm's products. You have to use Bonafide chili. You have to. It's fire.
Yeah.
And, just to kind of back Sabrina up, I know that this is not about, like, me saying, yes, she's right or she's not lying, but I can promise you this much, and we've talked about this a little bit before. We have had people come to us and say, hey, we will pay you for a full year to use our products and our products only. And Sabrina's like, no, I don't know if that product is good. I don't know if I like it. And I prefer, for example, like ThermoWorks, right? We like ThermoWorks. We are not sponsored by ThermoWorks. We do not get paid to use ThermoWorks. But we've had I don't know how many different brands that use instant read thermometers or leave-in thermometers, and they've reached out to us and they've said, hey, again, like we've had some say, hey, we'll give you X amount of money to use our products and our products only. And Sabrina's like, well, but I like ThermoWorks and we like ThermoWorks. So why don't we keep growing the brand? And maybe one of these days ThermoWorks will want to work with us. And that's Sabrina's mindset. Whereas, somebody else might just say like, oh yeah, let's get that money.
It's probably not the most like the best mindset for business and growing your business, because sometimes you do have to take those
opportunities.
Take those opportunities to grow your business. But I'm really hard-headed, so
no. And I mean, I don't even look at it being hard-headed. I mean, when I respect you enough to say, hey, I'm with you. If you don't want to do it, I don't want to do it either, right? I've always been like that when it comes to this, because I always tell Sabrina, man, this is not just me anymore, right? There was a small amount of time where it was, right? But this is not just me anymore. We are both putting everything we have into this. So these decisions need to come from us working together and doing things the right way. But, either way, if you guys know me and if you've watched our videos from the beginning, you know truly that I have always used Killer Hogs products. And the second we became affiliated with them, you can ask Sabrina, I'm like on cloud 9. Like, I couldn't believe that we got to the point where we are ambassadors of, in my opinion, the GOAT of barbecue. He changed everything for so many people. He put recipes out there. He made it cool to be a content creator that makes barbecue videos. And Rochelle is right there with him. She's a genius in her own right. But we've always loved them, and we're going to continue to use their products and support them. And again, we're just really, really proud of the partnership that we've built with them. And the goal is to grow GCS as big as possible and bring Killer Hogs and How to Barbecue Right with us. Now, do you think that they need our help to grow? I definitely do not. But I can promise you I will do everything in my power to help them grow along with us. If there's 2 or 3 of our followers that don't know who they are, man, push them to their products, push them to what they're doing. And that's the kind of relationships that Sabrina and I are looking to build when it comes to the barbecue community. Man, we have a lot of great friends. We do. We truly do. And that's the same exact way we feel about all of them. So I did want to quickly talk about that, just the fact that we are going to continue with How to Barbecue Right through 2025, hopefully 2026, 7, 8, 9, 10, a billion. And we're very proud of that. So look forward to seeing more content with Killer Hogs products, especially in competition. Like I told you guys, we're literally switching everything up. I mean, I promise you, we're changing everything. So we're going to a competition this weekend, and we're really going to see how we do. We're going to see how we can make this work. If it doesn't work out, that does not mean it's a fail. This is going to be try number 1. And just the same way that we do it with GCS, we're going to keep trying until we figure it out. And that's just the way that it is for us. That's the way Sabrina and I are. But we'll talk about the competition in a little bit. So we already talked about the country style ribs. And the other thing that we cooked that is just so good, I can't get over it, is the butterfly chicken legs.
Yeah.
And we've done these before, I think maybe on a short version video, but man, again, here we go. We're using TX Rub and Southern Hospitality. We grill them up really, really hot and fast. They're charred. I mean, I think Malcolm calls it like burnt ass chicken when he would do them with chicken thighs.
Really?
Yeah, but and then 50-50 vinegar sauce and the barbecue sauce. And if you guys have not tried those, the texture that you get from butterflying them like that is truly out of this world. Like, it's almost like oh my gosh, I can't even explain it. The skin is crispy and delicious. It's still a super tender bite. And man, it is just, I don't know, it's incredible. I love it. And I think you really like it too, right?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of, and I think somebody asked this question the other day on the podcast, is like what's your favorite things to like grill and stuff?
Yeah.
And like a classic barbecue chicken is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
So like with the skin on, the bone in, getting some of that char, and then having a sauce on it, I really, really love, right?
Yeah.
And so with the chicken legs specifically, they have, there's one side of that chicken leg that's always really easy to bite, and then there's the other side that's it's got like some sort of tendon or something in it that can make it a little bit undesirable, right?
Yeah.
So I think when you butterfly it like that, it makes it so much easier to bite that part of the drumstick, and it's just so good. I mean, to me, it's not burnt by any means. Yeah. A lot of people could argue otherwise. That's fine if you don't like it like that. That's cool.
Sabrina likes burnt meat sometimes.
It's funny too, because like I don't like the idea of like people liking dry chicken breasts. I'm like, no, if you cook it right, it's so good, right? But when it comes to like wings and dark meat, shoot, I'll take it. I'll take it past 200. Like, dude, I'm down.
There's been a couple of times where I'm like, ooh, I messed this wing up bad. She's like, don't throw that one. I want that. I'm like, dude, I'm like, are you serious? It's black. Like, it's burnt. And she's like, well, how'd you do that? I'm like, well, I mean, I didn't mean to. I'll tell you that much. Players mess up too. Too. But then she's like, no, I want that one. Do not throw that one. I'm like, all right, whatever. And then lo and behold, she's over there grubbing that thing. Yeah. I'm like, man, but the thing about that recipe is it is just so simple. If you get some shears and you cut down that bone, man, you just butterfly it up and cook them. Oh, dude, you're going to love it. So that short is also coming out. And, I think you guys are really going to enjoy the simplicity of that as well. So again, the model recently is simple, delicious barbecue. Those are the two recipes that we put out this week. Of course, you guys will also see this podcast, or you're listening to it or hearing it right now. So, yeah, I mean, we've been kind of slowing down a little bit on like the boxing videos and stuff like that. Not that we're not doing them. We still have some edited up. But, man, if there's any different type of content you guys really want to see from us, I really like doing the podcast clips and getting really, really key moments of the podcast. Are you guys enjoying seeing those? Let us know in the comments down below if you guys are or not. And then also, I do want to just take a quick moment to kind of tease that that's not the only partnership that we have in 2025. And hopefully, moving forward, we do have another one that we should be announcing hopefully really, really soon. It's already done. It's a done deal. But we're waiting on a few things to arrive before we kind of announce that partnership. So maybe by next podcast or the next couple, we can also announce one of the other partners that we have moving forward into this year.
Okay, so next, and you kind of mentioned this earlier, talking about new glazes.
Yeah.
So this is something, and you mentioned on one of the previous podcasts that you had been working on it, right? So we've got two that we've kind of, or that you've kind of like refined.
Oh, I mean, you're just because, I mean, yeah, I'm the one, I guess it's like my motor is spinning on it or my brain is spinning on it, but I mean, you're there helping me do it. So it's not like, it's not a me thing, right? It's always an us thing. It is something that I've been doing, I guess, like the research on and trying to figure out how we can get the viscosity exactly the way we want and we can get the flavor where we want it. And the hard part right now is, I mean, we're canning it, but like it's not necessarily shelf stable that I know of. I mean, I don't know anything about these types of things, like FDA type stuff. So that's the hard part is like, okay, if I make some today and we use it 2 or 3 times and it's good, like when does it go bad?
Right.
And that's the, I guess that's my, I don't even want to say worry, but that's my struggle right now. But that being said, we have reached out to a co-packer and we have started the process on trying to figure out if this is a shelf-stable product or what do we need to do to make it shelf-stable. Right now it's something that I'm, like even yesterday I was like, no, I have to make glazes today. I have to make glazes today because what I'm trying to do is making sure that every single time I make them, they come out the same. and I know my recipe down to the exact weight, the exact gram, and it tastes the way we want. And we've probably made like 4 or 5 different versions of it. I'm not sure exactly how many. This has been over the span of a couple of months, and I think the one that we've recently, made is exactly where I want it personally.
Yeah.
We are using fresh ingredients, so you'll taste a little bit of discrepancy in the flavor every once in a while. Like one of the peppers might be a little bit hotter one day or might not be as hot. That's the only thing that I would guess we would, I don't even want to say figure out, because I don't think there's anything to figure out there. A chili piquin is not going to taste the same here and here. It's just not. I mean, you'll in the ballpark, but I don't think any two are ever going to be exact. So I think that's going to be one of the things where we just need to, I guess, deal with it or be okay with that if we're going to do something like this. And, it's been really fun. It's been really fun for me to try and figure this out. And it's like, you know me, when I want to do something like that, I just have to, it has to be perfect. And I'm not saying that it is perfect, but we are really, really happy with the flavor, and we are really, really happy with the color. And right now our biggest thing is trying to figure out what we're going to call these.
Yeah.
Because we have no names, basically, right? We have no names. One of them is really, really beautiful red color, and the other one is, it almost looks like beef tallow, right? It's like yellow, right? It's like yellowish. So we have those two, and we're, like I said, we're working with a co-packer, a local co-packer. So the cool thing about this is it's going to be local, and it's going to be small batch. Like, this person is not necessarily doing, they're not head country or anything like that, right? So it's local and it's small batch, and I'm really, really hopeful for it. This weekend, we're going to be going out and running it again. So we actually ran it in Seguin, and we got a 6th place turkey out of 87?
Something like that, yeah.
And then
the
we got a 10th place rib out of 145, and we used the glaze on both of those things. So we did not use it on the pork. Maybe we should have. Maybe we should have. We made a decision to not do it because we actually kind of wanted to see if there was discrepancy. And I'm not saying that using the glaze would have, made our pork win by any means, but it did give us an idea that there was a for sure difference of flavors there on our pork and our ribs. There was for sure a difference because we used the glaze on the pork and not on the ribs, right? But that being said, we are going to implement those 2 glazes into every single one of the recipes that we have competition-wise, and we are not going to be buying glazes anymore from any companies. And that is not to say any of them are bad or that we do not like them or anything. It's just right now we want to focus on making these products ourselves, and what better way to do it than to go out there and test them. Test them in the backyard, test them in competitions. We're going to get them to some of our family members. They can test them as well. They can tweak them. They can let us know what they like, what they don't like. Now, here's the thing. If there's 20 different people and 19 of them say we love it and one of them doesn't like it, well, I mean, we're never, again, kind of like we talked about earlier, we understand we're not going to please everybody. These glazes might not be for everybody, but I can promise you every single thing about them, we're putting a lot of hard work into them, and we truly believe in them if we release them or when we release them. Just know that everything that we could do to make these good, it went into them. I promise. I've done so much research. I've tried to figure out so many different recipes on how I need to do this, how I need to do that. I would like to think that some of the things I do are like unique to me, right? Like I don't know, right? But the way I cook it maybe is a little bit different than the next person, or maybe they wouldn't do it that way. I don't know, but it does feel cool to work on new products, and it feels exciting because we have seasonings, and I think our seasonings are amazing. Right now, I don't think we need to expand. If there was anything that we would want to go into right now, it would probably be something like a lemon pepper seasoning or something, something that you guys can use all the time in your kitchen. Right, so we feel like we've got the barbecue flavors really, really nailed down. Now, of course, we can do something like apple or cherry or whatever, but we also want to start making stuff that you guys can use in your everyday lives, and I think that that's pretty important to us right now. So we're going towards the glazes, and like I said, one of them is apple-based and one of them is cherry-based, right? So that's where you're getting that more yellow color from the apple, And on the cherry base, you're getting that really, really nice ruby red color that looks beautiful. And if you look at the ribs that we turned in Seguin, they truly did look out of this world. And I think the glaze made a difference. And I think the turkey also had a great flavor on it because of the glaze. So we'll see how things go. Regardless, I'm excited for it, and I'm happy to be trying to create new products. And that's the thing that we've talked about before. These products, I'm quite literally making them in my kitchen right now. That's how we start the process. And then from here, we'll talk to somebody who's a pro, and we'll make sure we're doing things the right way.
Okay, so next on the agenda is this weekend we are going to Refugio for an IBCA. Now, this is the competition. We GC'd it last year, and I'll put a card up above that'll show the video. You can watch that video from last year at this competition. Now, we had a lot of rain. Mm-hmm. That's the one where you got hit in the face with the canopy.
Yep.
Right? But and you talked about this even in the country style pork rib video. Like when you have all that moisture in the air from the rain, it seems to be helpful especially like when you were using drums, right?
Mm-hmm.
This time we're going with the offset.
Yeah.
So we've mentioned this before too. I don't really think it's going to be that much of a difference going from offset to drum as far as our overall results, as long as we're just consistent with our cook.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one because I think that was a really good cook. There were a lot of people, especially for an IBCA, and I'm really hoping that we see a really good turnout there as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really big turnout again. I already know some teams that are going, and I won't put their names out there because you know how cooks can be. But I do know a lot of good teams that are going to be there, and I think that it's going to be a great event. So I'm really looking forward to it. And what I'm actually most excited about is really actually implementing our glazes and new sauces and stuff and seeing how it does. This is an opportunity to see, are we going the right direction? Do we need to maybe do a little less glaze, more glaze, change this, change that? This gives us opportunity to do that. And like I mentioned a minute ago, this is not something where if we don't win, it's a fail and the glaze is horrible and, you know, all that stuff is bad, but you have to make adjustments sometimes. So we're going to start off, I would say, pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Safe maybe, or neutral, pretty neutral with our flavor, but just focus on that texture and make sure that we have a really, really good bite. And again, I really am excited. Like Kevin is going to be there. And we'll obviously set up next to Kevin or close to Kevin. I would hope. I haven't seen him in a long time. And I was telling him pretty much the same thing I'm telling you guys. Like, hey, yeah, we're going to change a lot up, bro. And I really want you to taste everything and see what you think. And be honest with me. And that's the biggest thing. You know, have that friend that can be honest with you about your barbecue. And it will help you a lot. Like, I have Kevin and Rini and Raul who are brutally honest. And I'm the same exact way with them. And that's really, really good to have whenever you're trying to get better. So I'm excited to see how, you know, Kev likes it, how the judges like it, because some would say it is insane or crazy or whatever word you want to use to go back to the cook and change everything. And that's quite literally what we're doing, even after we did really well last year. But I just think that this is a really good way and an opportunity for us to test these products and test our new way of doing things. And you know what? At the end of the day, I look at it like, man, we're going to a barbecue competition where let's just go have some fun. Everybody that's there wants to win, I promise you. So let's keep that same energy. We want to win as well. We're going with a purpose. We're not going thinking, we hope our new products are no good or our new process is no good. We definitely hope that it is. But there's only one way to find out if we're on the right path or if we just need to adjust. It does not mean we're on the wrong one or on a bad one. It just means that maybe we might need to adjust a little bit.
Well, and here's the thing with sauces is, I mean, the majority of sauces to me taste pretty similar.
Yeah,
especially
no
when
doubt.
you have everybody out there who's using the same combination of sauces.
Yes,
and
that's huge.
Yeah, when it comes to competition, you have when everybody's mixing their sauce, they're having to mix it because one of them isn't going to be the right texture.
Yeah.
One of them isn't going to have enough sweetness, so you got to mix it with this.
Yep.
One of them's going to be too thin, so you need to mix it with something thicker, right? So for me, especially moving on to like the barbecue sauce and vinegar sauce, these are sauces we use at home our competition sauces. We're not using that in the backyard, right? Because they're not our favorite sauces. They're good
and
sauces.
On top of that, who's really going to bust out 5 sauces and measure out quarter cups and half cups and mix it and get it hot and make sure it's the right consistency. We're not doing that at the house.
Right. I mean, it's just... And
we're trying to get a good sauce and eat some good food.
Yeah, they're good sauces for competition, I mean, which has been proven because that's why everybody's using them all, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, those aren't the sauces we're ever going to go to at our house for our backyard cooks, right? So we're going to stick with the sauces very simply that we use in the backyard, and you only have to mix two in different ratios to get whatever, viscosity of sauce you wanted for each of those proteins, right? So it's going to be, for me, I think, less having to remember, okay, I need to buy this sauce. And there's one of our sauces that I don't really know what they did, but it no longer tastes the same.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Right? So, for us, it was like, okay, we were going to need to replace this product somehow. And it's like, why try to find that one missing piece for this giant mixture of sauces when we can just move on to two different sauces, right? And like I said, there's definitely sauces that I prefer, but the Killer Hogs barbecue sauces, right? But the majority of sauces to me are pretty much the same. They're just going to vary in sweetness, vinegariness, thickness, or thinness, right? Yeah. So I don't think we're taking this like giant risk, right? Like switching our sauces.
For sure, I don't either.
I don't think it's going to be a huge risk. I think we're still going to have a barbecue that tastes really, really good. And of course, the judges aren't going to notice because they're random people, right? Yeah. So I think as long as
they're just going to know that that's what this person turned in today.
Right. So as long as
they're not going to know that we made a huge change.
Exactly. So as long as we are just consistent with our cooking the right tenderness, right? I think and our presentation is good. We make sure we get the color that we want. I don't think we're putting ourselves at any sort of disadvantage.
Yep.
And the thing is anytime we make a product, we're making a product that we love and that we feel confident giving to somebody else, right? So we're never gonna.
That's huge.
Yeah, we're never gonna make a product that we think, oh man, somebody might really not like this.
Yeah, this sucks. This kind of sucks actually, but let's put it out there to try and make money.
Right. So we feel confident, going in with our glazes that we've been working on. So I don't consider us at any sort of disadvantage. I think it's gonna go well. And I'm really excited to do an IBCA. It's been a long time since we've done an IBCA.
Yeah.
I think that one last year was the same competition from last year is like one of the last ones we did, right?
Possibly. I couldn't even tell you, to be honest, but it very well could be for sure, because after that we did a couple more and then we pretty much didn't do any more the rest of the year. But I kind of wanted to circle back to something that you said just a second ago, and I had contemplated in my head even saying this, but I will say that somebody that I consider a really good friend actually was telling me that when they judged, they tasted 6 plates of ribs and 5 of them tasted exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Same texture, same flavor, so many, the look, a lot of different things were exactly the same. That is the moment that you and I decided we are going to make a change. We're not afraid to do it. If it takes us time to figure it out, we are willing to do that. But we don't want it to taste like everybody else's. And there's nothing wrong with doing it that way. If you're winning, keep doing what you're doing. Sabrina and I are just a little bit crazy where we're down to change everything and adjust from there. Maybe some people wouldn't want to do that, and I understand. 100% I understand why you wouldn't want to do that. But Sabrina and I kind of talked about it, and we're like, man, it's true, right? A lot of it when we taste, it's like, oh, well, that tastes the same as his, and this tastes the same as that. The most unique thing that I've ever tasted in barbecue since we started competing has been Kevin's chicken.
Yeah, literally at that comp. That's the only time I've tried his chicken, and that's like I still can remember the taste.
Yeah, because it was very unique, and that's the best chicken. That specific chicken was the best chicken I've ever tasted at a competition. Yeah, that specific bird.
For sure.
And it was different, and Kevin won Chicken Team of the Year and Team of the Year that year, and I think a lot of it was because his chicken was unique, right? So I'm stealing a little page out of Kevin's book, and we're going to try and hopefully figure it all out. And that's the fun part about this, though, man. Even if it doesn't go good, it's all good. We saddle up and we go again. So I definitely think that, there's a lot of barbecue out there that tastes really, really similar. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but we're going to try and change our flavor just a little bit. So we maybe could have a different bite than, whoever else is next to us on that table.
Yeah, you definitely don't want, because here's the thing is everybody talks about like, okay, they only get one bite. You need to make yours stand out so much. It's got to have a punch. It's got to be powerful.
I almost disagree.
Well, yeah, I don't agree with that. So I think you definitely need to have consistency as far as that the tenderness and flavor. Like as you said, these almost like these ribs are all copy pasted, right? They're all going for the same thing because that's what a lot of competition cooks are doing. We're all doing the same thing, right? But I think even something as simple as like changing a sauce that most people might not be using out there on the competition circuit, because we know what kind of brands people are using.
Yeah, sure.
It's very common knowledge to most competition cooks, right? So if we use a sauce that's more backyard style for us and that maybe most people aren't using out there, that could be an advantage because maybe it does stick out a little bit because it's like, okay, well these sauce is plays such a key role in competition. It's like one of the last things that's going on your protein. And all of the barbecue has it. Every single protein has it, right? So it's one of the main things that you're going to taste. I mean, we always say seasoning really is such a small percentage of it.
For sure.
So the sauce is mainly what you're going to taste. So if everybody's out there using the same exact thing, it's going to taste so similar. So if we can have something out there on the judging table that is maybe a little bit different, that's the kind of difference we want. We don't want like, a powerful, like crazy flavor difference. We want just a slight subtle difference that says, hey, man, all these were good, but these all tasted the same. This one's a little bit different. I think that's the one I like the most.
Yeah. All this that we're saying, we're going to go get Deadass last. So we're going to, last place chicken, ribs, brisket, and Deadass last Gulf Coast smoke. Watch is going to happen, but I'm kidding around. But, it's just going to be a fun adventure, and it's going to be really, really cool. We're going to change up the way that we season brisket. We're going to change up the way we season ribs. I mean, it's all going to be different. We're still going to use our products. We're going to add some of those Killer Hogs products in there. And then we're going to be using the sauces and then our glazes, and we're going to go from there. There are other things that we're going to be doing. I know a lot of you guys think that we show everything. Believe it or not, there's so much we don't show you guys. So we're working still, and we're thinking about doing a class. If you guys are interested in doing a class, let us know for sure. Our goal is to put out a quality class for a good price where you guys can come and have a good time and hopefully learn a lot about barbecue. Like I've said, we do not claim to be the best, but we most definitely think that we've learned a good amount and we can help people, especially if you're just getting into the sport. So let us know in the comments if you guys want to see a barbecue class from Sabrina and I, and we'll definitely, we're already kind of working on it. I've talked to some places about a venue and what I can do, what I can't do, stuff like that. So, we may or may not have like a really awesome place where we could hold this class, which, where it would be. And I would be super stoked if we could. So we're looking into those things as best we possibly can. But the last thing I did want to do today is get into a question. And that question comes from my sister, Kimberly. What is your favorite food of all time? And the reason that I'm asking this specific question is because last week, Wednesday, after this podcast that we filmed, we went straight to my sister's house to eat, and she was like, "Did you answer my question on the podcast?" And I was like, "No, I actually didn't, sister, because, we had so many, and we didn't have the time." Even right now, it's past an hour, and we're like, "No, we didn't have the time, sister." She's like, "Are you kidding me? I was the first person to ask." And Sabrina's like, "She really was." I was like, "Man, I wasn't trying to be like that. I just, we went from the top to the bottom and we started asking questions and then time was up." But what is your favorite food of all time from my sister Kimberly?
That's a hard one.
We talked about this literally at that dinner table, and I was like, how do you answer this question? But I didn't know if maybe the question marinated in your head a little bit or what.
Man, so there's like several things that are like really high up on my list. A good soup.
Yeah,
especially
you're a soup person, big
time. Yeah, I grew up like my mom would always make potato soup. That was like one of my favorites. Spam
really
fried
good
rice is one of my favorites. Anything with rice and potatoes. Me and Penny are on a grilled cheese kick right now. So,
the other day, whenever I made the beef ribs, Penny was like, "Oh, Mom, can you put mine in a grilled cheese sandwich? And I'm like, gosh dang, that's a great idea, Penny.
Yeah.
That's a great idea, baby.
Yeah. And I mean, beef ribs is one of them. Like we've mentioned, like a classic barbecue chicken is one of them.
Fire.
Any sort of Asian food.
Yeah.
And Mexican food is like up there with my absolute favorites. Your mom's lasagna. It's hard to pick. Anything your mom makes, honestly.
Mom cooks great, man.
Even Kim's made some things that I'm like, dang, when are you making that again?
Kim makes some. Kimberly and Mom cook very well. Jessica cooks well. I feel like Deborah cooks well. I feel like everybody cooks well on my side of the family. Even Dad, man, when he throws down some burgers, I'm like, dude.
Yeah, those burgers he made the other day were really good.
Oh my gosh, I was like tripping. I'm like, dude, there's no way this burger.
The texture of them,
dude. I don't know what he does. I don't know what he does to those burgers, man. But they are incredible. And if I had to answer, man, honestly, it's like it's impossible. It's impossible because when I tell you, like I talked about this, I think the last podcast too. Sabrina knows this. I am a chicken wing lover. Like I promise you, I could leave right now and go get a 12-piece Buffalo Hot with some ranch, and they're gonna be fire. I love pizza like way too much. I love ribeye steaks way too much. I love beef ribs way too much. I love cheese enchiladas. I love my mom's lasagna. Man, it's impossible. So I'm sorry, sister, that you're not getting a perfect answer here. But let's try and take that question one step further. What's your favorite bite in barbecue?
Oh gosh, that's even harder now because the other day, I mean, like the beef ribs, I'm like, oh, these are one of my favorite things that you make, right? But then you made those country style pork ribs, and I'm like, dude, these are like so good, above and beyond good, right? I mean, they really were. It's hard to your competition ribs, honestly, so good. I mean, especially like right before you sauce them, just like with the au jus and like that first layer of sauce, that's like one of my favorites. That one is like really hard for me because it's one of those things where in your head you have an idea of like, oh, this is what I like. But then, and for most people, that's probably an easier answer because maybe you don't eat as a wide variety of barbecue as we do. Yeah. So, and as frequently, right? So my mind, the last thing my thoughts are on are those country style ribs and those beef ribs, right? For sure. So I think beef. I mean, I think beef ribs is my favorite bite of barbecue in general, or a burnt end. A perfectly cooked burnt end is hard to beat. I mean, you can't go wrong.
But I'm gonna say that beef rib is my number one. It's my top. So, we recently put out a beef rib video. If you guys are interested in that, go check that out as well. And like I said, go ahead and watch the video from Tuesday. I really think you're gonna enjoy it. One of the biggest things that we've been doing lately is incorporating a lot of the au jus that we're getting out of the wrap, and we're putting it back on top of the barbecue in the end. And it's just a way to do it. If you guys don't want to do that, that's fine. If you want to smoke it longer than we do, that's fine. If you don't want to put it in foil, that's fine. These are all techniques that we like to do, but it doesn't mean that it's perfect for you. And that's completely fine, and that's the best thing about barbecue. If you guys are enjoying the podcast, and if you're watching on YouTube right now, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We're getting closer and closer to 50,000 subscribers. So we're creeping up on that. We're basically, I think, at like 48,000.
Oh, nice.
And then we basically have a couple thousand more before we get to 50, which is a huge milestone for us. We've been obviously working really hard on the content. We appreciate you guys watching. And like I said, if you don't subscribe, now's a perfect time. If you're listening and you think somebody might enjoy the podcast, man, share it with them. Maybe they're just getting into barbecue, or maybe they're a seasoned vet and they just want to hear two people talk about barbecue, and maybe they'll enjoy our podcast. But did you have anything else you wanted to talk about today?
Nope, that's it.
Nope, that's it. All right. Well, we will be back next week to talk about our results at Refugio, our glazes, and everything else in between. We'll see you guys on the next one, or you'll hear us on the next one. See you later. Peace.